Imagine turning a corner on a frosty winter's day and finding a house that looks like it's been dropped straight out of a fairy tale or Harry Potter. All crooked beams and leaded windows. Hi, I'm historian and author Claire Ridgway, and in today's Tudor Christmas Advent episode, we're travelling virtually to one of the most wonderful wonky Tudor houses in England, Little Moreton Hall in Cheshire. And the best bit? Thanks to musician and historian Jane Mulder, who works there, I can share some beautiful winter photographs of the hall with you later in this video so that we can really soak up its seasonal atmosphere together. Little Moreton Hall, sometimes known as Old Moreton Hall, sits just outside Congleton in Cheshire. Building started in the early 1500s under William Moreton, a prosperous local landowner, and the family kept adding to it throughout the 16th century, right into the early 1600s. So as we look at it, we're really seeing a house that grew with the Tudor dynasty itself. But this was no royal palace. It was a gentry family home, but a very ambitious one. The Mortons were clearly keen to display their status, wealth and taste, and they did it in oak beams, glass and gleaming patterned timber. From the outside, Little Moreton Hall looks like it shouldn't still be standing. It has no proper foundations, a top-heavy long gallery running along the upper floor, a heavy gritstone roof pressing down on the timber frame. And over the centuries, the weight has caused the lower floors to bow and dip. It's like the Tudor version of the Weasley's burrow from Harry Potter, delightfully off-kilter, yet somehow still standing. The Moreton family had deep roots in the area, going back to the medieval period. By the mid-16th century, at their height, they owned over 1,000 acres of land, mills, orchards, gardens, and even an ironworks. Little Moreton Hall was the showpiece at the heart of that estate, a place where they could entertain neighbours, conduct their local business, worship in their private chapel, and live out the seasonal rhythms of Tudor rural life. At the core of the house is the Great Hall, built in the early 1500s. This is where the household would gather to eat, to celebrate, to mark feast days. Originally, the floor would likely have been beaten earth covered in rushes, with a central hearth and the walls flickering with firelight and candlelight in the long winter evenings. In the 1550s, the Mortons modernised it in grand style, inserting a new ceiling and adding a big bay window looking onto the courtyard. That window still survives, filled with beautiful 16th century leaded glass. Off the far end of the hall, you go into the parlour and the withdrawing room, more private family spaces. There you find carved 16th century wooden panelling, a lovely timber ceiling with moulded coffering, a projecting bay window with stained glass bearing the Mortons' wolf's head crest. Over the fireplace in the withdrawing room are the royal arms of Elizabeth I, flanked by carved female figures, a reminder that the house wasn't just medieval, it was updated and lived in right through the Tudor and early Stuart period. The Mortons were clearly proud, loyal subjects of their queen. And one of the most striking things about Little Moreton Hall is how decorative it is. Outside the black and white timber facade is a patchwork of chevron patterns, lozenges and herringbone designs. All of that isn't just structure, it's Tudor showmanship in oak. Then there's the glass, expensive. The house contains tens of thousands of tiny leaded panes, quarries, arranged in squares, diamonds, circles and triangles. Many of them are still original 16th century glass, with that slightly wavy greenish look that we associate with Tudor windows. Inside, in places like the parlour, you even get painted biblical scenes on the walls, including the story of Susanna and the elders, a favourite Protestant subject, tucked behind later panelling. So the house doesn't just look Tudor, it quietly holds their religious debates on its walls. But perhaps the most magical Tudor feature of all is the famous long gallery, added on top of the south range in the later 16th century. It runs the full length of the building, with almost continuous windows on both sides. Long galleries were used for exercise, games and display. a place to stroll and talk when the weather was too foul to go outside. It's the perfect Tudor winter space, enclosed, light-filled, and just a little bit otherworldly. Outside, the National Trust has recreated a knot garden using a 17th century pattern, exactly the kind of intricately patterned planting the Tudors loved. In season, the beds are full of herbs, vegetables and plants used for food and medicine in Tudor times. In winter, under frost or a dusting of snow, the pattern itself stands out, just as it would have for Tudor eyes looking down from the upper windows. Add evergreens, yews and bare fruit trees in the orchard and you have a very Tudor winter scene. Structured, useful and still beautiful, even in the dead season. Little Moreton Hall also has its own chapel, begun in the early 1500s and later extended with a chancel. It would have seen the whole religious story of the 16th century. Late medieval Catholic worship, the changes under Henry VIII and Edward VI, and the Elizabethan settlement. Today, its painted decoration and surviving timber screen give us a glimpse of how seriously a family like the Mortons took their faith, even as they lived surrounded by all the domestic bustle of servants, farming, tenants, and estate business. The Mortons held Little Moreton Hall for nearly 450 years. Over time, their fortunes declined, and by the later 17th century, they were renting the house out to tenant farmers rather than living there themselves. By the 19th century, parts of the hall were in very poor state, windows boarded up, the chapel used as storage space. But it also began to attract artists, writers and antiquarians who fell in love with its fairy tale look. In the end, a later descendant ensured its survival, and in 1938 it was given to the National Trust, who since repaired, stabilised and preserved it, bowing flaws and all. And thanks to them, we can still wander through this wonderfully improbable Tudor house and experience its strange, skewed magic for ourselves. And that brings us to Little Moreton Hall in winter. Thanks to Jane Moulder, who works there and brings Tudor music to life within its very walls, we can enjoy a winter visit without leaving our sofas. Thank you for joining me today at Little Moreton Hall, and if you've enjoyed this winter wander through one of my favourite crooked Tudor houses, please do give the video a like, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the rest of my Tudor Christmas Advent series. And tell me in the comments, have you ever visited Little Moreton Hall? If not, is there a Tudor house that you'd most like to see at Christmas time?